Hey friends. So I've been doing some thinking, and I have observed, I spend a lot of time on this post and in my in my life, in the practices that I do and in the way that I go about life. I spend a lot of I try to cultivate an awareness of compulsive behavior. And it's easy to see sometimes because there are forms of compulsive behavior that are kind of, they jump out at you, especially in the digital age when we all have smartphones. We can almost measure our compulsive behavior by our smartphone is almost like a little tracking device for our compulsive behavior if we use it that way. If we actually, doesn't mean every time we pick up our smartphone it's compulsive, but most of the time it is. And if we're really looking for it, then most of our behavior within that device, most of what we do with it, we'll be able to tell pretty quickly when it goes from this is an intentional and conscious, and I'm investing this time and energy with a full awareness of why and what it's for, and when we're just running a program, literally. Um, but I have observed in myself that there's plenty of behavior that remains, for a lack of a better word, compulsive. It's like an addiction. And that's never fun to witness. It can be sort of somehow inspiring in a sobering kind of way. It's like a sobering inspiration, which basically feels like growing up. And I think in a lot of ways I'm 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 inclined right now to see the distinction between compulsive behavior and freely chosen conscious behavior. Conscious behavior is just grown up. We outgrow the hypnotizing influence of these either behaviors, thought patterns, emotional patterns, whatever. And it feels good to grow up. Whenever I see something in myself, especially something that has a long-term deleterious effect on me, but through me on the people around me, my family, my larger family and friends network. Whenever I witness something like that, there's a feeling of like, not shame, but regret. And that's something that particular emotional tone is one that I think all of us have to find our own way of engaging with. What do we do? How do we respond internally when we witness something in ourselves that's not pleasant, that's not flattering? Well, we can repress it, we can ignore it, we can feel bad about it, we can become ashamed of it, or we can assume that it's a gift for whatever reason. And frequently when it's a kind of addictive or compulsive behavior, or just something taking us in a direction we don't want to go, it's almost always it's almost always covering something else. And so the gift of seeing it is like taking a growing up supplement. I don't know why that image came into my head, but it's like a dose of maturity, or a dose of integrity, deeper soul integrity. And I have learned over time to take a kind of pleasure in that. It's not like fun in the sense of entertaining or exhilarating or feel good, makes me feel great about myself emotion. But it's kind of like character building, or like I feel myself standing more on my own 2 feet. I feel myself kind of on a soul level, just being more responsible for life, for my life, and for the life process. And so no matter how unflattering or how unpleasant the actual thing is, there's a sense of almost like a relief, almost like, okay, I'm seeing more clearly. I've cleaned a bit of gunk off the glass, off the windshield. And I think, where I am today, I'm kind of just registering my own version of this, my own perception of, I gotta stop doing that. I gotta grow up. And also appreciating the kind of deeper principle, the deeper level of meaning that this engagement has, because it really does feel like growth. It really does feel like, that feeling of when you've been avoiding something, you haven't been willing to look at it in yourself. It scares you, or it shames you. Something you just don't want to see. Well, there's a moment of overcoming that aversion where we don't that impulse to look away, we actually overcome it. And we say, no, I'm going to see this. I'm going to receive this. I'm not going to try and pretend it's something else. I'm not going to try and explain it away. I'm not going to rationalize why it is the way it is. I'm just going to receive something that I would rather not see. There's a moment there of incredible courage. It's like inner courage. You know, this can happen like literally sitting on a meditation cushion, but it can be a tremendous act of courage. Or it can happen in a mundane activity in daily life, but it requires courage. And when that courage emerges, when we actually muster that courage and do and look, we receive that. We receive the thing that we like, that sucks, that we don't want. Maybe we do want it, but usually it's like, ugh, I don't want to see this about myself. I wish this wasn't the case. But at the same time, we receive the power, the incredible power of transcendence that tells us, because I'm able to hold my center, and because I'm able to look at something that I don't want to look at, in that moment, I become larger than it. In that moment, it no longer controls me. It no longer has the ability to control me with fear, control me with shame. And that letting go, that disentangling ourselves from being controlled by fear is literally the transition between compulsiveness and consciousness. That's where it happens. Compulsiveness, courage, consciousness. Like that's the sequence. And so this is coming out of plenty of my own experience, but I think what I usually, on this post, what I'm usually trying to do is take some of my life experiences and translate them into principles, or into an understanding of what's going on a deeper level, on a higher level, so the individual experiences of life actually become a form of wisdom. They become a form of almost like scientific understanding. Sadhguru has a course called Inner Engineering, which is a perfectly brilliant name because it's truly what's happening. We're learning. There are mechanics in this system. There are laws of physics in our emotional world, and we can engage with them in a essentially a scientific way. So I think that's what's attracting me to look at this and talk about this and unpack for myself what's going on here, because it sheds a little light on the overall picture, and it gives me an affirmation and a kind of way of repeating the behavior that I want to be repeating, which is stepping in every day with courage. If we can do that internally and externally, then we're moving. So that's what I got today, folks. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Let's go be courageous today. See you soon.